Sireli masnakitsner jurer. Insamar pativ Joselu aisor ais mijotsarmane. Menk petke kurtnajan ashkatenk genderayin havazarucham hamar. Unem jerku tra jerku achik. Husovem bolor im jereganere. Kunenan havasar hanara voruchuner irens kiankum. Neman mijotsarum nere, kognen pochel ashare. Aiskana hayeren zer tulte vuchambe kusherunakem anglagen. Thank you. I was asked to speak about a Dutch perspective on gender equality and IT. I have prepared some slides. Basically, the Dutch policy on gender equality is based on SDG 5, which is presented here with all the texts. And what I will do, I will go through it quickly and then make it more specific to what the Dutch embassy in Armenia is doing in this regard. So based on this SDG, we have a Dutch policy which is based on increase, give, prevent, and eradicate, and strengthen. That defines our policies in many, or in our foreign policy, and for that we have a lot of funding prepared. Basically, this is a budget of 500 million for 5 years, which we spent in projects all over the world, including Armenia. Our Minister for Foreign Affairs decided last year to, or this year actually, it was a month ago, to make our policy a feminist foreign policy, which means that we're much more proactive and much more going to mainstream activities in field of gender equality in all our projects. But now I want to go to what we're doing in Armenia, because I think that is much more important. What we have decided is to focus our work in a number of areas, and human rights is one of them. Human rights, and within that, gender equality, because we have noticed in the past 2 years that our embassy is open in Armenia, that a lot needs to be done in this regard in Armenia. Does that mean that we are perfect in the Netherlands? Not at all. On the contrary, there's still a lot to be done in the Netherlands as well. However, we think that we can add something to Armenia. And in that regard, we have focused our activities on a number of projects. And why do we do that? Because if you look at the core of Dutch foreign policy, that is always rule of law. We are the inventors of international law, as we call it. And why do we do that? To protect minorities. And why do we protect minorities? Because we want everyone in society to have an equal chance, because that delivers most to society. And therefore we want women, LGBTI, other minorities to have the same opportunities in our society. And that is also what we try to bring to other countries in the world. We think it's important to have that. If you don't protect one specific minority, then that means that every minority, every person is at risk. So therefore our projects are focused on a number of areas. What we have done in the past 2 years is basically first explore the field. As a new embassy in Armenia, we could not decide what to do in the first place. So we focused on a number of small projects all over the country and with many partners. But last year we decided to make that more specific, and we financed, for instance, the Save You app, which is an app that is making or helping women to fight gender-based violence in their own societies. It's an app that makes it possible to have on your phone, in one push, 7 people on the line, including police and other services, including people you know. It also helps, or it registers the conversation that is going on at the moment you're pushing that button. which can be used in court cases to fight certain, or to have your legal rights. Another project we wanted or what we have financed is Equal Opportunities for Working Mothers. It's a project we financed in Gyumri, and that was done to find out what are now the exact hurdles women engage when they are trying to find work, when they're trying to build up their own lives. And that is a project we have handed over the documents to the Ministry of Labour and Social Affairs to see how we can implement that. And we stand ready to follow up. What we want to establish with this kind of projects is that you take away the hurdles that make it impossible or make it difficult for women to participate in society. Yazidi girls' early marriages prevention is another project we financed. We found out that in the Yazidi community it's still very common to marry out children at a very young age, and in particularly the girls. Again, prohibiting them to participate in society. And what we are now also looking at, that is another project, female role model projects, and we have a very interesting example. In the Netherlands we have a television show which I was watching with my youngest son, who is 15, and it's about the armed forces. As you know, in the Netherlands we have a very strong position on what is going on in Ukraine and Russia, and that also leads to our defense forces to recruit new people. So they had this show, and it's not a political show or so, it's just a show about special forces. Everyone who wanted could participate in this show to see whether you have it in you to be a member of the special forces. And we had these tall Dutch guys, 2 meters high, and they were participating, people coming from sports schools. And there was this young lady, 1.62 meters, who was also in that program. And everyone thought, well, she's going to drop out as one of the first. She won the show. And well, she became almost a national hero, I can say. My son was very impressed by her. And then I found out that her name was Aravni. So I contacted this lady, and she is Armenian. And I have invited her to come to Armenia in one of the next years, or next month. Hopefully we can bring her to Armenia already by the end of this year. And that is what we want to do with female role model projects. This is the kind of people that can show that if you have something in mind, you can get there. So that is another project we are doing. I want to bring it now more closer also to some of the sectors we are looking at in Armenia. And in the Netherlands, many sectors are already quite okay in terms of gender equality. Women and men are participating at the same level, in same functions in these sectors, but not in all. And one of them is the IT sector. If you look at the statistics in the Netherlands, we have in the IT sector 16% of the graduates being female, 84% is male, meaning that we still have to do a lot of work in this. But innovation as such is a key driver of Dutch society, and that is where we are going to need to tap into the women part of society as well, because innovation, as I mentioned, is something the government tries to promote, but it's also in our in many of the business communities, a driver to bring further development. And it's already something we discovered in the 16th century when Dutch seafarers were exploring the oceans and the continents, the globe. They were sharing all the time all the knowledge they found in maps. They drew maps, and those maps were given to other seafarers so that they could complete the maps. And that kind of mentality is something many Dutch businessmen still have, because if you share your knowledge, then your competitors will get closer to you, but it's also a drive to become better than they are. So it's a kind of a drive to stay ahead of the curve. But that means that we also have to include more women in this part of our society. And that brings me mainly to my main message for today. What I've heard today is something I admire very much. And you have plans, some of you are working already in various sectors, and that is what I admire, and that is also what you need to keep on doing. You need to keep on doing that for yourself, and I think one of the previous speakers mentioned you need to do that to climb this first mountain, but you also need to do it to climb the second mountain, and to be a role model for others, other women, other girls, but also for men and boys in Armenian society. And that is for society as a whole. Only then we can create this equal world, and in that regard I also hope that you will be thinking of the Netherlands at some point, because as I mentioned, we also need women in IT, and that is where the embassy stands ready to work with you, to support you in your dreams and your challenges, and to hopefully build stronger Dutch-Armenian relations. Thank you very much. Snark Lucien.